That's right. We hit 1 million views this week. Pretty huge. I don't know. It still kind of blows my mind a little bit. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our 4th live stream. I don't know what to do with this. I don't know. It's still kind of crazy that people tune in for these things, but I think they're fun. So
I know, right?
here we are.
Hi, everyone.
There's Mr. InBetween, and you can hear our wonderful, awesome, my baby Gracie barking in the background. I don't know what she wants, but
I don't know. I'm going to go on mute for a while so you can talk to the people.
Okay. So we have 3 stories and a newspaper article today that I kind of wanted to go over. Sometimes when I'm looking for stories, I find stories that they're not big, robust. They're not a real story, but they're still kind of interesting. So I can't like put them in a video because they're not quite up to that kind of level, but they're still interesting. So I save them. So I thought now is the perfect opportunity to go through some of those stories. So that's what I'm going to do. So and then in between stories, we'll hit some of your questions and your comments and things like that. And I see there's a number of people in here already. Rich, Erica, Kenneth, Amanda, Luigi. Amanda's from the UK. That's amazing. Amazing way to spend your Sunday night, I guess.
Cindy Hessen's in here. Rich Owens.
Honey Badger.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Kenneth
Thank you guys
Miller.
so much. Thank you. Thank you
Luigi.
For tuning in. I should put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
So many people.
I know. It's amazing. It is very cool. All right. Phone's on Do Not Disturb, so no more beeps on my end, and I can not be distracted. So what do you think, Mr. InBetween? Should I go into the first story?
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions first? Is everyone hearing us all right?
That's a good question.
Any issues? I think if they weren't, somebody would have said it.
Probably would have heard it by now.
But yeah, okay. All right, Gracie. I'm going to go let her out real quick, and I'm going to let you get into the first story.
Loud and clear, Amanda says.
There's Rich.
Right.
Hey,
There's Rich.
And another Rich. Rich Owens and Rich G.
Rockin' Dave. Robert.
All right.
Nice. Okay.
Looks like everything's working.
Thank you,
awesome.
Robert.
All right. Okay. I'm going to remove myself, and you go ahead.
Okay. The first story for today is about a guy named Jake. And Jake is taking a road trip to Arcata, I'm not sure which it is, California, which I looked it up. It's only 100 miles from Mount Shasta. And I was all excited. I'm like, oh my God, it's a Mount Shasta story. But then I realized, no, that's where he was going. That's not where he was when this happened, but okay. So he's making a road trip to Arcata, California, to visit a friend of his. And he's stopping for the night. So he must have been driving from a long way from somewhere. And he just decides before he gets to the hotel for the night, he's just going to pop into the local bar for a drink before he heads off to bed. So while he's at the bar, he starts chatting with a pretty lady who's working at the bar, who then by the time all is said and done, she invites him back to her place at the end of the night. He leaves his car at the bar, hops in her car, and they take off, and the woman is driving, and she starts driving, and she's driving out into the middle of nowhere. And Jake's like, I don't know about this. I don't know where I am. I'm going out in the middle of nowhere. But he takes a glance over at the girl sitting next to him and thinks, you know what? Maybe I don't care. Let's just see where this night goes. So he just, sits back and enjoys the ride and looks forward to whatever is going to happen when they get there. And what happens? Exactly what he was hoping was going to happen. After they finish their late night activities, they both fall asleep. But at some point, he gets thirsty. He gets up to go get a glass of water. And he sees milling around the house are several small, freaky looking kids that have all pitch black eyes. And he's thinking, okay, this is weird, but whatever. And he goes back to bed. And in the morning, the woman wakes him up, kicks him out of bed, kicks him out of the house, and he has to walk all the way back to the bar where his car is. And if that wasn't like weird enough, before that night he had been a healthy, athletic, and outgoing guy. Well, within 6 months, he is diagnosed with severe bladder cancer and dies within 6 months after that, blaming that woman and those black eyed kids for his condition until the day he dies. Ah, black eyed kid stories. Ah, freaky. And several of them. Is she like a black eyed kid babysitter or mother? That's kind of a weird thought. I just thought of that right now. What if she's like their mom or just their keeper? I don't know. Weird. Mr. E Files, Mike, thank you so much. Mike, if you don't know, Mr. E Files is another channel who is awesome, tells stories just like we do. So if you like our stories here, if you like What Lurks Beneath or Mr. Ballin, go head over to Mike's channel, Mr. E Files, and give him a shout and watch some of his videos because he's awesome and he's got some really strange stuff over there. So go give him some love. Let's see. I can't read this with my glasses on. Maybe she just uses. Oh, that's a good thought. Maybe she just uses men to have her black-eyed children. That is a very interesting thought. I just got to switch glasses here to something I can read. Mindy, story. Thank you, Mindy. We have a couple more. Edward, the dating scene sucks. Yeah. Can't say I blame you. Can't say that I'm not happy that I have Mr. InBetween, so I don't have to do that anymore. I'm gonna scroll back to the beginning here for a second, see what I can see. Make sure I haven't missed anybody. Eric O's got his Tim Hortons coffee and he's all ready to listen. That's awesome. Amanda, hi from the UK. Luigi, awesome. So happy for 1 million views. Congratulations. Thank you, Luigi. I was pretty excited about that. Oh, Celeste, it's rainy in Wales. Hey, but that's like the best time for spooky stories. I actually love rainy days. Rainy days are kind of like my favorite when you can like barricade your house or barricade yourself inside your house and, you know, lay on the couch with the blanket and the candle going and read scary books and things like that. I love those days. Dollhouse Madam, I'm so happy I made it. Well, we're happy that you made it too. Thank you. Hello from England, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We're everywhere today. Kenneth is from Texas and it's getting hot. Kansas. Philip is from Kansas. Oh my gosh. I know Rich. Put Rich up there. Rich is from Washington State. That's awesome. Emma has been binge watching from Yorkshire. That's awesome. Thank you, Emma. All right. Sounds fine. Okay, good. Sorry, I couldn't see what that comment said. Okay, awesome. Yorkshire, England. And notice I say Yorkshire, not Yorkshire, because I've had enough people yell at me and tell me how to pronounce it. So I think I'm getting good at how to pronounce those English names. But forgive me in the future if I mess up on some of them. If anybody has any questions, by all means, put them in there. Let's see. Oh, Mike, Cindy's going to come and check you out. So look for that. Amanda, maybe she's a succubus. That is a good thought. I hadn't really thought of that when I was reading the story. I was concentrating more on the fact that he died within within a year, 6 months to the diagnosis, and then it's another 6 months after that. I was concentrating more on that than the fact of what she was. But that's really an interesting thought. Oh my gosh. Argonautes, forgive me if I pronounced that wrong, watching from Athens, Greece. You're the best storyteller ever. Thank you so much. And thank you, Athens, Greece. Oh my gosh. I gotta like get a map and start putting pins in it from all the different places just because it's so much. Rich, you again are a prince among men. Thank you so much. I was going to talk about this later, but I guess I'll talk about this now. We are so close to being able to go full time. So close. We just don't quite, we're just not quite there. And it's going to come. We're going to get there. But in fact, let me show you guys something. And this is going to go, that's the wrong slide. I got a couple of visuals for you guys today, but check out this. Okay. So here, all right. So this is the last 365 days of the channel's views. Okay. So la. And trust me that, all the time before it pretty much looks the same. And then you get to right here. This is where we had our collaboration with Josh on What Lurks Beneath. So that sent us to a slightly different level. Wonderful, awesome. And we love Josh. But then something happened just a couple months ago, and we just went for a little while anyway, went through the roof. And it was awesome. But of course, tide comes in, tide goes out. We're kind of back down at this little, we've settled down just a little bit. Obviously at a much better place than we were before, but we've settled down a little bit. So we gotta just keep going until that next push comes. And once that next push comes, we most likely, can't say for sure, obviously, but we most likely will then be in a place where I don't know that I will quit my full-time job, more because of the responsibilities that I have there. I don't want to just leave them, but severely cut down and be able to spend way more time. In fact, we already have actually. I've actually started taking off Mondays and Fridays. So I've actually have cut down a little bit, which was amazing. And part of the reason that we're doing this live stream today is because next week, our video, and I'll get to the videos that we have coming up in a little bit, but is such a big one that we needed the extra time to be able to pull it together because the information is massive. So it was super awesome to be able to take Friday and, well, yesterday I spent most of my time getting ready for today, but to take Friday and the rest of today and tomorrow that I wouldn't normally have to help get ready for that big video. So it's already helping me stay a little bit more sane. I got a little bit more sleep in the last few days than I normally do. So I'm kind of excited about that. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment. So we are close. That next push could come tomorrow. It could come 3 months from now. Obviously, we have no idea, but fingers crossed that it's going to be sooner rather than later. So there you go. There's our sticker. Oh, Deb, and one from Deb. Thank you, Deb. You guys are the best. And hopefully, yeah, you guys are the best. And hopefully this will, I don't know, keep us going. I know it'll keep us going. Thank you so much. Argonautus has a question. Why do you spend so much time on dogmen? How did they come to be? I spend so much time on dog. I mean, I try not to because we want to make it not one kind of channel. Like if you watch Dark Waters, he's actually kind of branching out lately too, but his are mostly about dogmen. But I didn't want, but I don't want it to be just about Dogman because I like it all. I like ghosts and UFOs and black-eyed kids, and I like it all. So I want to do it all. Um, I if I'm guilty of doing more than my share of Dogman, it's probably because the Dogman stories are great stories. Not to mention the fact that I don't know, I'm sure a lot of you have seen last week's video, which was Matt Emsh's story. And so which he actually sent to me a while ago, and I don't know why I didn't do it. Maybe I just thought it was too big or what, but I just kind of, I said, he emailed it to me and I just kind of said, thank you very much. I'll let you know. And I just sat on it for a while. And then we met Josh. And then because of Josh, we got to meet Matt. And now that I've met Matt, and maybe it was just almost like a divine timing thing, because I think um, now looking back on it, I think that uh, having met Matt first and gotten the story from him, I think I did a better story. So I think it was kind of divine intervention that I did it that way. I don't know. Um, but I like the way that came out. So but to answer your question, I don't know. I try not to do too many Dogman stories, but they're good stories. I don't know. There's some awesome stories in there. Let's see. Emma says I use the Yorkshire twang. I don't know what that is, but I hope it's okay. Is it the American twang of saying Yorkshire? I don't know. Mindy says, now that's a real niche specialty, babysitting black-eyed kids only. True, but niching is good. Niching is good. That's where the money is. Oh, Mike is calling. You're hitting 50K within 50 days. I would love to think so. I was hoping to hit 25 by Mother's Day, and I don't think that that's going to happen. The real goal is a silver play button by Christmas. But at the rate we're going, that's not going to happen either. So I don't know. But it doesn't really matter, because the only thing that really matters to me at this point is going full time, because I love doing this. So I want to do this all the time. So once I get to that full-time spot, if it blows up, great. I'm not going to complain about that. But just getting to do this full time will be enough. And maybe a little extra so that we can retire someday. Brian Kolosik. I am so sorry, Brian, if I just butchered your last name. $5 super chat. Thank you. New to the channel and love the stories. Thank you, Brian. Thank you. We love that. Let's see. Yes, Deb. Full time someday, and hopefully someday soon. Let's see. I'm like not at the. Oh, Mindy, subscribe to Mr. E-Files. Thank you, Mindy. That's awesome. I think you're going to like his stories. He's a great storyteller. Let's see. TL Broyles. Love your channel, and it is banging. I found your channel when you and Josh What Lurks Beneath did a collaboration. So I was going to talk about this later too, but oh well. If you guys liked our collaboration with Josh, wait until probably, we haven't set the calendar yet, but probably about mid-June. I don't know. And Mike, you can chime in on this if you know more than I do. We are doing another one. And this time, this one is going to be huge, because it is me, it's Josh, it is Mike from Mr. E-Files, and it is Matt Emsh. And so I'm sure you guys know Matt from the Dogman story, but Matt also has a channel. Planet 412 is Matt's channel. So, and he does Dogman stories, but he also does other things. And he does a lot more interviews and things like that. But but the same kind of genre. So if you like it, go visit Planet 12. I'm sorry, Planet 412. Planet the number 412. Go visit his channel as well. So this collaboration is going to be all four of us, each doing half hour to 45 minutes worth of stuff all mashed together. So this is going to be like over a 2-hour marathon kind of thing. We don't know how we're going to set it up quite yet, but that's what we're getting ready. And so we have another meeting on Monday where I'm hoping to set that timeline so we know exactly when it's going to come out. But it's going to be somewhere around the middle of June, probably something like that. So keep your eyes open for that. Let's see. Deb is giving us submit your stories at InBetween Tales. Thank you, Deb. Love the advertisement. Let's see. Matt says, thank you, Story Spirals. Oh, Howard. Hello, Howard. Did you watch that video yet, Howard? I was just talking to Howard this morning, who had a comment on Tunguska and was talking about the Electric Universe, but he hasn't seen the Electric Universe video yet. So I'm dying for him to watch that so I can get some feedback on what he thinks of the whole Electric Universe video that we did. Because Electric Universe is a big topic and we tried to boil it down to the best that we could. But, you know, again, not being full-time and we're just not a huge channel. And we're not an Electric Universe channel. We weren't going to try to cover everything, but I wanted to get like an overview so that people who have never heard of it before could get an idea of what this is. And if they're interested, you know, go off and do some further research. So hello, Howard. Thank you for joining us. And I hope you like that video. Let's see. Killer Rage 190. Thank you so much. Hello. Let's see. Emma loves the range. Let's see. Emma says, love the range of stories. Will there be a collab with AJ on the horizon, like with Josh? That would be amazing. That would be amazing. And Mike from Mystery Files said that he had actually at one point been in contact with AJ, who said, yeah, let's do a collab, but kind of never heard from them again, which is kind of the same thing that happened with us and Mr. Ballin.
They're busy.
They're very busy people, and I totally get it. I mean, the level of, I don't know, just going from just this last bump in viewers that I showed you that we went through, all of the sudden was crazy. I cannot even comprehend what that's like at the 1 million to 3 million viewer subscriber level. That has to be just off the charts, you know?
Yeah, and let me just pop in here that
yeah.
Everybody here can probably attest to, by going through the comments in our videos, that Carol Ann does her best to try to get back to like everyone. And now it's getting to the point where she's just unable to, because there's so many comments. I mean, it's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
But just know that, you know, it's just a hours in the day equation. So
yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Oh, so, well, to answer your question, Emma, yeah, that would be amazing. And if I ever hear from AJ's people, I will do it in a heartbeat. Argonatus says, we have a group in Greece dealing with the unreal. Can hook you up with the top ones if you like. What does that mean, dealing with the unreal? Why don't you shoot me an email at inbetweentales@gmail.com and give me a few more details? I don't know exactly what that means, so more details, please. Howard wants to know, how do you get all your stories? We do a lot of, well, I don't know. And I had somebody, I read a comment this morning about how I don't have any original content of my own. I just recycle everybody else's, which kind of just, I don't know, bums me out a little bit. And I still might answer this person later, but having a channel that we endeavor to make sure that all the stories are real. I mean, I don't like creepypasta. What's the point in creepypasta? You know it's fake. Why is that scary? Although I will say that Stephen King books scare the crap out of me. But I find the real stories, it's what's real. It's the things that are happening in your world. Those are the stories that are scary, because when I go walking out in the woods, when I go to our cabin, what am I going to see? That's way scarier to me. So if you're looking for the true stories, the number of things that you can choose from are smaller. The pool is smaller. So we go to Reddit and look for posts there. We go looking in books. We look for other people's accounts, and basically anywhere that we can find them. We do a lot of research on the internet looking for different stories. Comes from a lot of different places. One of the things that we want to do when we do get bigger is, and we've kind of dabbled in this a little bit, but we haven't got it perfected yet, is to hire a researcher, somebody who can go out and get the stories that are a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Certified? That's not the word I'm looking for, but the ones that you can, what is the word I'm looking for? Mr. InBetween, what is the word I'm looking for? The ones that have credit, the ones that are, I don't want to say provable because they're not provable, but they have more behind them, ways that you can check them out. I don't know what that word is that I'm missing, but
Sorry, I stepped away, so I'm back.
Right when I needed you. What is the word I'm looking for?
I
The
don't know what
stories
you
that
were
are
saying.
more the story we're
Compelling?
looking for a researcher to go out and find the stories that are more
Credible.
credible. I guess that's a
Sure.
word. I guess that'll work. Okay. Yeah. But for now, the sources are limited. Basically, we go out looking on the internet
More
or reading books.
verifiable.
Verifiable. Yeah. Yeah. Verify. Yeah. That's probably the best word.
And
So
cooler. And
I
just
hope that,
cooler.
and cooler. So I hope that answers your question, Howard. Oh, Kenneth, you subbed to Mr. E Files too. Thank you. Let's see. You know what? I think I'm going to save the questions for now
Yeah, you
and
should go on to the next
go
story.
ahead
We've got
our
a lot
second
of,
story. Yeah, we just went
and
through a
then
lot of
we'll
them
have
right there.
to get through comments. These comments are building up fast. You
Oh
guys
man,
are awesome. You guys are awesome. It's good to
thank
have
you.
this problem of not being able to get to everything.
I know that's going to be something I'm going to have to learn how to manage all of that along the way. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so our next story is from Jimmy, and I'm going to put up, hang on, a visual so you guys know what I'm talking about here. So you see this little thing right here. So Jimmy, now this happened in the 80s, and Jimmy's out with his girlfriend in a boat on Greer's Ferry Lake. So that's the lake right here in Arkansas. And that lake has an island that sticks up out of the lake called Sugar Loaf. So that is Sugar Loaf right there. So you know what we're talking about. And on Sugar Loaf, there's a trail on the south side that will take you right up to the top of the mountain. And it's a nice lookout up there, good scenery. So they go out to the island, they climb up the south side up to the scenic overlook. Good couple thing to do. And they look around. Great. It's beautiful. Been there, done that. And they start their way back down. And it's like sunset, but it's not dark yet. So they have really good visibility yet, especially if they're on the south side. That's, so they've got the sun there yet. They can see where they're going. And as they're walking down the trail, they start to hear something pacing them in the woods next to them. And it sounds like it's 100 to 150 feet off of the trail, but they can't see it. They can only hear it. And it just sounds like somebody's walking through dead leaves and brush, just like you would if you were not walking on a trail. And they can tell from the sound kind of where it has to be. They can hear it, they can locate it by sound, but they don't see anything. And so they don't think a whole lot of it because there's other people camping and hiking on this mountain all the time. So there's people walking around all the time. So they don't really think a whole lot about it. But then they notice that if they stop, it stops. And so they start walking again and it starts walking again. And they test it a few times, and every time they stop, it stops. So now they kind of start to feel like they're being stalked, and they can't see who this person is out there. And they kind of start getting creeped out, but they just keep going down. They keep going. But so but Jimmy can't let it go. Jimmy's the whole time down. He's just kind of thinking about it and thinking about it until they get almost to the bottom. And he's just like, okay, I gotta know. And he tells his girlfriend, stay here. I'm going out there and I'm going to find out who this is. So he walks out into the woods about 100 feet, about where he thinks it should be, something like that. And he's looking around and he doesn't see anything. Then about 30 feet from where he is, he sees a figure run from behind a tree. And it's about 7 feet tall, super thin, humanoid shaped, like a big skeleton with skin on it, long limbs, pale white skin, and it's running away from him so he can't see its face. No clothes, just pale white skin. And it's moving super fast, upright on 2 legs, and disappears into the woods in seconds. And Jimmy's just like, oh my God, what was that? And he just remembers thinking over and over, that can't be right. That wasn't like real. What was that thing? Whatever it is, wasn't natural. And he wants to run because it's freaking him out, but he realized he's paralyzed and he doesn't know if it's from fear or from shock, but it takes like a good 30 seconds before he can get his legs to move again. And so when he finally does, he runs back to the path where his girlfriend is, and they get down the path, get in their boat, and get the hell out of Dodge. Oh, I love that one. I think there's not a whole lot of story around it, but it's just such a clear case of, oh, I saw this in such great detail. So I just love that one. There you go. Let's see. Rose Red says Mr. E is on par with Mr. Ballin. Thank you, Rose Red. That's wonderful. And Mr. E says we'll have a gold play button by New Year's. That is an amazing thing to put out into the universe. Love it. Thank you so much. Let's see. What else do we have? Any more questions? Oh, yeah. Planet 412. That's Matt's channel, and it's awesome. Mr. E says it's going to be a dream collaboration revolutionizing storytelling. I hope so. Brian, how about June 15th? That would make an awesome birthday gift. Does that mean that your birthday is on the 15th? Because if it is, so is mine. Awesome. That would be an awesome birthday gift for both of us. That would be wonderful. Let's see. Cindy says you and Josh were great together. Thank you so much, Cindy. It was fun. That was a very fun one to do because we got to kind of script out how we were going to interact on both of them, the one on my channel and the one on his channel, kind of script out how we were going to interact. And now that I'm kind of in love with editing, having to edit those together so it looks like we're in the same room, or not in the same room, but talking to each other. That was fun.
Yep, she's the master editor of the channel. That's for darn sure.
Thank you. Thank you. Claire, Claire says, I'm a huge fan of your channel and haven't missed an episode yet. Thank you, Claire. That's awesome. Let's see. Oh, Celeste has a question. How did you get started? Watching Mr. Ballin. If you want to take it all the way back to the beginning, I don't know. I'm a child of the late 70s and the 80s. And when I was a kid, this is how I tell everybody how I got started. When I was a kid, Leonard Nimoy had his show called In Search of. And if you don't know what that show is, and I don't think it really has stood up to the test of time all that well, because if I go back and look at them now, it's kind of cheesy. But when I was a kid, it was fascinating. It was Bigfoot, it was the Bermuda Triangle, it was psychic abilities, it was all the strange stuff, and I loved it. And my brother and I would sit in front of the TV when it was on Saturday nights at 5 o'clock, and we would watch it every week, and I loved it. And I think that's where I started. That was my introduction to the paranormal and the strange, and I loved it. And then I just kept reading books when I was a kid and all that kind of stuff. It's always been an interest of mine. I didn't really think about doing anything with it until I started watching Mr. Ballin's videos. And I'm like, oh my God, these are so great. And this is the greatest channel ever. And Mr. InBetween and I have had other channels, which I now look at as training for like what was going to be our best channel. Let's put it that way. So we're like, okay, what can we do? It's time to start another channel. What can we do? So we're like,
yeah, this is the 4th channel that we've been really into.
Yeah. So we decided to do a strange and mysterious channel. And there it is. And here we are. So that's kind of the genesis. Let's see. Deb says, us and Tony Merkel, the confessionals. I don't know that one. I'm going to have to go check it out. I don't know who Tony Merkel is. You know, one of the sad side effects of this channel, and I'm not complaining, I'm complaining a little bit, only because I love this genre. If I wasn't doing the channel, I would be watching all of the videos anyway. But one of the sad side effects is now that we are so busy, I don't get a chance to go watch any of the other videos anymore, especially unless I'm watching Mike's, because Mike's are usually a little on the shorter side, like the 10 to 15 minute range, which is about all I have at night before I fall asleep in bed. But like AJ, I haven't watched an AJ video in a long time, a Y-Files video, because his are actually getting a little bit longer, and I just don't have the time to sit and watch them anymore. So that kind of makes me sad. But Deb, I will go out and I will look up Tony Merkel and I'll find out who that is. Let's see.
I'll look up Tony Merkel.
Oh, thank you. Let's see.
The producer's job is never done.
John Hamilton wants to know, do you think you will do another video with audience submissions? I absolutely will. And here's a funny thing. We had a few days ago, that's what we were going to do for this Sunday. And I started getting stories together. But then we kind of took a look at the broader calendar, and we knew that this video coming out next Sunday was going to be so big. There was just so much, not that the video is going to be that big. It's going to be bigger for us. But it's not like we're going to put out like a 2-hour video. We just can't do that. But the information, the amount of information that needs to be distilled to make it a good video is huge. So once we saw that, we're like, okay, let's do the live stream, because that gives me a little extra time for us to be able to put it all together. So I have stories together for the next viewer submission video. I just don't know exactly when it's going to get published yet. So, because I don't know what that calendar looks like. There's actually a lot of things on the calendar, or that I shouldn't say on the calendar, but in line that we want to do. We just don't know how we're going to schedule them all out yet. So stay tuned. That's going to come very soon. Let's see. True Heart says, I want to hear real encounters. Amen. That's exactly what I want, is the real encounters. Robert says, don't get a mascot like Hecklefish. Well, we won't, most likely, although I do have my Bigfoot guy in the back. But I like Hecklefish. I think he's funny. Let's see. I want to find one more question, and then we'll go back to the next. Oh, Edward Garcia. Thank you, Edward. Authenticated. That's the word I was looking for. Things that are able to be authenticated to whatever degree they can be.
Here, I'm gonna pop in here real quick.
Okay.
Our good buddy Joe says, Joe! Good afternoon.
Joe, oh, I'm like way behind. I didn't even realize how far behind I was. Oh my gosh. Joe, thank you so much.
I told you they're piling up.
Oh my gosh, they are. Okay, well, maybe you should go through and find the questions for me.
I've been trying to tell you that in chat, but you keep on clicking off of the things that I bring up on the screen. I bring something on the screen and all of a sudden it's gone and I'm like, what happened?
It's because I'm not looking at the screen. I'm looking at the chat. I am so sorry.
Let me do my job. That's fine. You see what I have to deal with, people. No,
I didn't realize that was your job.
I'm going back on. Well, yeah, so that you can keep talking to your people. I can just pop stuff up for you to do. So I will do my job now.
Okay. I do see one in there from Susan Butler. Thank you, Susan. Susan said she was going to be in here today, and there she is. Okay. Okay, while he's doing that, the next thing is not a story, but it is, and I'm going to hang on here for a second. I didn't even realize I still had that up. This is a newspaper report I just thought was so interesting that I thought, okay, I gotta try this. Did I just do that? Okay, so basically what this says is there was a plant out in Indiana, Anderson, Indiana, where GM, the motor company, was they were building like bumper parts or something like that. So it was very industrial, and they had a vat somewhere in the backyard that was full of chemicals, like just the worst that you can think of, it's just this vat of toxic. And at some point, I don't know if like every so often they have to take the lid off and check and make sure it's not leaking or what, but they took the lid off, and inside were what they described as 6 to 8 inch long with tentacles. So I don't know if that's 6 to 8 inch body plus the tentacles or if that included everything, but 6 to 8 inch long swimming things, almost like squid, swimming around in this vat of toxic chemicals. And they managed to catch one and kill it and put it in a jar that was like in the manager's office. They were going to send it somewhere to be tested, but somebody stole the sample and the rest of them disappeared. And I don't know if they like kind of just got them all out of the vat and get rid of them, or if they just disappeared or what. But even the so here's an article on it. This is like 1996, I want to say. 1997, March 5th, 1997. So there was a newspaper article, and then there was a follow-up article. Here's the follow-up article. I mean, it went so far that the EPA, and you can see the IDEM, that is like the Indiana version of the EPA. So both on a state and federal level, EPA, they both came in to investigate. But of course, by the time they came in, the squid were all gone. There was nothing left. There was nothing for them to investigate. They deemed that whatever, the storage of these chemicals was up to standard. They were fine with storing these chemicals, but they didn't see. They're like, okay, if you find any more, let us know. We'll come back and we'll test it. But there's nothing for us to test at the moment. So how crazy is that? Things growing kind of reminded me of the movie. If you're from the 80s, you may remember this, The Toxic Avenger, where the wimpy janitor kid gets sprayed in toxic chemicals and turns into a big hulking kind of superhero. It was bad, but I liked it. So there you go. Anyway, I just thought that was, again, not a story, but very interesting things that are happening in our world. So there you go. What do you got for me? Now I'm going to put you on the spot, Mr. InBetween.
Oh, yes. Let me find something for you.
You're not doing your job.
Well, I couldn't put it up on the screen while you're doing that, right?
Well, true. Okay. Oh, the bad thing is I can't read it if I don't know where you are. Oh, there you are.
Oh, Brian Kolosik says, or you got it?
I got it. Yep. In Search of was on Sundays in Wisconsin. Maybe it was on Sundays. Lord knows that was long enough ago that I could be getting that wrong. I remember watching it at my grandparents when there for Sunday dinners. Great show back then. I know, wasn't it just the best? I don't know what made it so intriguing. Maybe because, I don't know, it was just different. I don't know. They did the Loch Ness Monster. It was awesome. Would be interesting to do a video on voodoo, curses, and magic. We did one. Now I can't remember the name of it. We did do one episode where the guy, was his name Brian? Where he had a date with this woman and he just wasn't even
on the date, but she just had an eye for him and was flirting with him, and he kind of was like, thanks, but no thanks. And so she put a hex on him and he ended up dying like a week later or something like that.
Yeah, a crazy small amount of time. But, so we did do that one. Mm-hmm. And I do like I a personal fascination with the idea of cursed items, like paintings, which actually is our next story. So I'm sure I'll be doing some again. I don't know about voodoo, but we'll do some curse stuff in the future, for sure. Tony Merkel will blow people's minds on the stuff and people he interviews. Ooh, okay, good. I'm looking forward to that. Awesome.
The perennial question.
Do you have a strange experience? Thank you, Lady Raven. No, I don't. I have had nothing happen to me in my life. And maybe that's why I'm drawn to these kinds of stories, because it's something so outside of my existence that I can't even begin to understand how it would work. I mean, the closest that I have, and this is way far away, but the closest that I have is our family cabin is pretty much squarely in Minnesota Squatch territory. Like the Bigfoot capital of Minnesota is like a half an hour away from our cabin. And across the road is a family that lives there year round. And I heard it that the husband that lives there year round, that his sister saw something cross the road. That is like the closest. Oh, you know what? Okay, now Mr. InBetween is going to be mad at me again. I can't say that. That's not the closest. That is one. But Mr. InBetween has seen a UFO. And my uncle saw a UFO. and my brother saw a ghost. So things have happened around me, but nothing has happened to me. And I still, to this day, after doing this channel for almost 2 years, can't decide if I want something to happen or not. Do I want to stay in my safe little bubble, or do I want to have something happen that would just kind of blow my entire reality? I don't know. That's an ongoing question that will probably never be answered unless something happens. True Heart says, Caroline, I've had many, many paranormal encounters since age 5. Do you want me to send some to you? Well, absolutely. Send them to inbetweentales@gmail.com. I would absolutely would love to read them. Let's see. Joe says, thanks, Mr. Inbetween. Yes, he deserves much thanks for sitting down there and making sure that all of this keeps working. I don't know. Deb says, yes, real stories are scarier as well. I think so. I mean, obviously, I've heard creepypasta stories that are wonderful stories. There are some really good writers and some really good presenters out there. Absolutely. But for my channel, our channel, I want the real stuff. I want to know what's going on in the world around me. So, anyway. Kenneth says, weird, but yes, I love The Toxic Avenger. I watched all of those movies. It was pretty sad. When I was in high school, there was a video rental place called Tidal Wave that had a special section called Bad, Bad, Bad Cinema. And that's where The Toxic Avenger 1, 2, and 3 and all the other Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, Surf Nazis Must Die, all of those horrible, horrible pieces of film that were just fun to watch when you're in high school and have nothing better to do on a Saturday night. They were all together in one section, and I loved it. They were awesome.
And yes, Linda, she knows what is and is not a cup holder.
I do know that my CD thing is not a cup holder. That's very funny though. I love that. I'm a little bit better about that. I do rely on Mr. Inbetween because he has way more knowledge about computer, how things all work together than I do. But I'm not a slouch. Let's just put it that way. But when I get into this kind of a situation, I get super nervous. So then all of a sudden I can't find the buttons that I need. I can't, so it's a good thing he's back there backing me up.
And True Heart.
Oh, The Serpent in the Rainbow. I did see that movie. It's been a really long time. I haven't seen it since, basically whenever that came out, which was years and years ago. But I did see that. And that was very creepy. That was very scary. Maybe that would be interesting to do a video into that drug. Because I'm sure that there are a multitude of real life stories surrounding people who have been, for lack of a better term, hit with that drug. That might be kind of interesting. We'll have to put that one on the list.
I'd say it's probably a good time for another story.
Yeah. All right. We got one last story. So let's do it. And I have a visual for this one as well. This one's creepy. So I'm keeping that up the whole time. This painting is called The Rain Woman, or Woman of the Rain. It's Russian, so it kind of depends on the translation, but that's the basic translation. And it was painted in 1996 by a Ukrainian artist by the name of Svetlana Telets. And I apologize to Svetlana if I mispronounced her name. So she paints this picture. Okay, back up for a second. So here's the picture. If you look at it, to me, it's just creepy. I don't know. I'm going to blow this up a little bit here so you can see it a little bit better. It just gives me the creeps just looking at it. All the colors and her face. And I don't know that you can see it really well from this picture, but if you look at her eyes are almost white. There's like no real color to them. So she's got these like white eyes that are looking down. So the whole thing just creeps me out to begin with. But then to know the story around it, that for months before painting this picture, she was having lots of nightmares and the constant feeling that she was being watched. She just couldn't push off this feeling that something was watching her. And she's a painter, so sitting down to paint is a regular occurrence. But on this particular day, she sits down to paint not because she's inspired to, but because she feels compelled to. So she sits down and she starts painting. She picks up her brush, she loads it with paint, and she starts coloring the canvas. But she feels like she is not the one in control of her hand. Something else is controlling her hand. So she's just kind of sitting back there, freaked out, watching the show, kind of, because she's not controlling her hand. Her hand is doing the whole thing, and her hand paints the picture. She just is just watching this whole thing. So when it's finished, she looks at the picture and she realizes not only did she not feel like she didn't paint this picture, but she has no idea of who this woman is or who it's supposed to be. This did not come out of something that she had in her head. So the whole experience freaks her out so much that she just immediately sells the painting. She just wants to get rid of it. But the painting keeps coming back. Her customers keep returning it, and it's returned by different customers who tell her that either they're returning it either because the woman in the painting is watching them, or that they see her facial expressions change, or her eyes are following them around the house, and they're just too freaked out to have it in their house anymore. So they keep bringing it back. One customer complains that no matter what she does, the painting keeps falling off the wall. One describes being followed around, that, as soon as they got the painting into their house, they then started being followed around their house by a shadowy figure. And the one that I think is kind of the creepiest is the guy who says that where once he had the painting in his house, then wherever he looked, he would see a pair of white eyes, just like her white eyes. Like everywhere he went, he would see these white eyes. The painting was finally bought by a Russian musician. And if anybody is a Russian musician fan, it was bought by this guy, Sergei Skachkov. And again, I'm sure I didn't pronounce that right, but he bought it in 2008, but he didn't have it very long before his wife takes it down and puts it in storage after seeing a ghostly figure walking around their apartment at night. I don't have anything after that, but the question is, who is the woman in the painting, and what was that force that compelled her to paint it? That's the question. Oh, I just love that picture. I love haunted paintings. I think haunted paintings are, and there's a lot of them out there. That's really scary. When I started looking for stories for today, I saw an article about haunted paintings, and I've read about a few of them. So I expected to see this article about all these paintings that I'd already heard about. And it was an article about all kinds of paintings that I hadn't heard about, which is kind of scary. So let's see. What do you got here? Base Camp Chris. Rose Red says another great storyteller is Base Camp Chris. He tells true tales while camping. I have seen some of Base Camp Chris's tales, and they are pretty awesome. He's a pretty awesome storyteller.
He's pretty darn good, and he always has a new beer for the day.
That's true. I forgot about that. He does.
Cools off in the creek.
Oh, does he?
Yep, it's the beer of the day or something, like the drink of whatever it is, ale or something. But He
That's pretty cool.
yeah, he pops it in the creek to cool off in the water while he gets his stuff ready, and then cracks it and tells a story.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, one of the stories, the Bigfoot story that I had in the Shasta video, that came from Base Camp Chris.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he has some good stuff in there. Love your channel and stories. Thank you, Kristen. That's awesome. If you had to choose one to see, would it be a dogman, a Bigfoot, or a rake, BEK, an alien, a skinwalker, or a ghost? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I think I would have to say a Bigfoot, because there are lots of good Bigfoot stories. Where dogmen, there's a lot of bad dogman stories. So I think I'd have to say Bigfoot, because a lot of stories you just see Bigfoot walk across the road and it's done, which is enough to blow your reality, but it's not anything coming at you and threatening you. So I think I would have to go with that one. A ghost, see, I don't want it to be a ghost, because if it were a ghost, I'd have to move. We would be building a brand new house somewhere else, and we would be moving, because I'm not living with that in my house. I'm sorry. I know people who have.
Sun and palm trees at that point.
Maybe. We'll see. Depends. You know I want to stay here.
We could split the time.
We will be splitting the time once we get to a place where we can go full time, which means that we can work from anywhere. The plan is to split our time between a beach half the year and Minnesota half the year, because my family's here and I love my family.
Beach because Minnesota snow.
I can't say I blame you. We'll have to winter. We'll be wintering elsewhere. All right, Mike, you definitely want to have an experience. I don't know, Mike. I don't know that I do. Sometimes they can be scary, but I've seen UFOs multiple times on the Cape and Midwest. Strange creatures in Midwest, ghost, handprint, etc. Nothing like that feeling. I know, but I don't know that I want that feeling. I don't know. We were just talking about, so I was on a phone call. It was me and Josh and Mike and Matt talking about our collaboration. And Matt brought up the idea of going to this place that he knows of in Michigan, where you can like rent out the place for the night. And then all four of us could make videos of our experiences, and we can make a video of us all together, be a collab, a whole thing. And I don't know that I would do that for the channel, because that's not the kind of, we're not Sam and Colby. We're not ghost hunters. That's not what we do here. But we could still go and we could be in their videos, and it would be an interesting experience. We're not getting any younger. We might as well start experiencing life. But Mike, I don't know that I want to do that. I don't know that I really want to put myself in the situation to have something happen, because I'm a big chicken. So we'll have to talk about that more in the future. We'll see. I don't know. Linda Wade okay. Thank you, Linda. Thank you so much. Oh, you have to read Devolution by Max Brooks. Scariest Sasquatch story I've ever read, and realistic scenarios. Well, he would be full of stories, I would think. So is it a true encounter, or is it a story? Not that I'm opposed to reading a fictional story, because like I said, Stephen King still scares the crap out of me, but I'm just curious as to what it is. I guess I could go look up the book and find out. So I will do that. I will look up the book and I will find out. Thank you so much, Linda. I appreciate it. Let's see. You got anything else? Creepy. I keep expecting her eyes to open. I know, they're kind of, let me go back to that a second. And I wish I had a more blown up version, but you can, and you can, of course, you can't see my, I keep putting my mouse over it like you can see my pointer. But if you look just under her eyelashes, you can just see the outlines of the white eyes. So she has her eyes open. She's just looking down, and it's just creepy. There's something about the color of those eyes that's just really kind of crazy. Look at her cloak or outfit. It looks like a face. You can see an eye. I think if you're the thing in the middle of her chest, I think that's supposed to be some sort of necklace, because you can see the chain or whatever it would be. You can see that going up to her shoulder. So I think that's supposed to be a necklace, but it's so dark that you can't really tell. True Heart says there is a painting of a child that will not burn. Homes burnt to the ground, and that painting never burns. Oh, I don't know that one. I'll have to look that one up. Maybe I should do an episode just on haunted paintings, because there's a number of them out there, and they all, I don't know what it is, but when you just look at these things, you can just feel it. I don't know. I'm sure Mr. InBetween would tell me that it's all in my head. So Linda says devolution is fiction, but he has experiences. Okay. I got to look that up. That's awesome. Why do you think it is okay for people to see and report UFO sightings and they are believed, but when it comes to aliens inside a mall, it's completely denied? Lolo. Hello, Lolo. Well, first of all, I don't know that the assertion that reporting UFOs and being completely believed, I don't think that that's true. I think there's a lot of people who report UFOs who are still to this day, even with all of the sightings and all of the pictures and all of the investigations, that they're still called quacks, which is crazy to me, because UFOs, I think we have like the most evidence out there. It's crazy how much evidence we really have, but they're still called quacks. So I don't know that that's necessarily true. But on the other hand, the aliens in the mall, from the footage that I saw, I didn't see aliens. I didn't see it. Now, I will say, the police response to whatever was going on, that was not what they said. What they said, it was they were responding to a gang fight or something that had broken out in the mall. I think that's complete bunk. I mean, you don't have 25, or I don't even remember how many police cars that were out there, but you don't have 25 police cars out there for a fight in the mall. Their response was way over the top for what they said it was. Now, what was going on, I don't know. But I have yet to see something that shows me, and being an editor, and here's the other thing, being an editor, I can spot fakes. And I'm not saying that what I saw were fakes, but I haven't seen anything that is convincing to me that there were aliens. So I don't know. But then again, there are accounts like Betty and Barney Hill from way back in the 60s. Those are, in my opinion, credible. And in fact, one of the videos that I really desperately want to do, and it's just not getting done because so many things keep popping on the calendar in front of it, is the experience from Travis Walton, the Fire in the Sky story. Oh my gosh. I mean, if there is a documented case, it's Travis's case. And so I really want to do an episode on that case someday. So I don't know. UFOs are, I think people are getting less and less scoffed at every day. At least I hope that to be the case. One video I saw looked like a 12-foot tall something to me. Yeah, I don't know. I think I saw the one that you're talking about, and it was just so fleeting that it was hard for me to see what it was. So I can't really say. Deb says, have you looked into Phil Schneider yet? Yes, I did, Deb. I started looking into him, but it didn't take me very long in looking into him to figure out that, again, is going to be one of those cases that's going to take a long time to get through all of the information to distill it down into something that's presentable for our channel. We don't do 3-hour videos. We don't do 8-part series, which you could probably do on that guy. So it's going to take some time for me to go through all of that information and distill it down into an episode. But I did look into him and I will work on it. I promise. Okay.
And I'm going to interject in here.
Okay.
Just as a preview to let everyone know that we are doing a 2-part series coming up.
True. Our first 2 parts.
Because it is such an interesting and fascinating find. And I'm not going to go too far into it, but it is related to one of our videos that we did just a couple ago on Atlantis. So you probably want to tune in for that and make sure that you get notifications and such, because this is going to be extremely interesting, to say the least.
So you don't want me to give that one away in talking about what we have coming up in the pipeline?
To give it away, I think I gave away enough right there.
Okay, because I was going to talk about it, but I won't.
Let him sweat.
Let him sweat. Well, if all goes well.
Okay, you can give a hint.
Well, now I don't know what hint you want me to give. I mean, I was going to say, if all goes well, the first of the 2 parts will be the video next Sunday. And we are working hard because the amount of information that needs to be wrangled and distilled into even just 2 parts is crazy. Yes. We are just, this is a tough one, which is why we knew we needed extra time to pull it all together. So the first one should be on Sunday. The second one, the second part, I don't know if it will be the immediate week after that or if we'll put it off by a couple weeks after that. I don't know. We haven't really worked it out yet. But just know that next Sunday's video, if it's the one that we worked really hard, just know that. But coming up, I also want to do another one on Mount Shasta, a Mount Shasta part 2, so to speak, because there's still so many, In fact, Josh just did a part 2 and a part 3 within like the last month.
So there's beneath.
Yes, thank you. So there's a lot of weirdness going on in Mount Shasta. So I want to do another one of those. We already talked about the collab that's coming up in June. Yay. Another thing that we're working on, and this kind of came out with the Giants video that we did a couple weeks ago, that there's funny business going on at the Smithsonian. So we want to do an episode on the Smithsonian. However, there is an episode on the Grand Canyon that I think needs to be done first to lead us more into the Smithsonian. So there should be an episode on the Grand Canyon and a very spectacular find in the Grand Canyon. That episode will come first, and then soon after that would be an episode on the hijinks of the Smithsonian. And I also want to get another one out of military stories. There are so many people who commented on our one and only military stories video that we've done. There's so many people that commented on that they love the military stories. So I would like to do another one of those very soon. Have I missed anything, Mr. InBetween, about what's in the pipeline? There's just so many.
No, I don't think so. We are, I think we're also going to have just a collab between us and Matt Emsch as well.
Yes. Matt.
So
now that we have met and chatted and become friends with Matt, he is the biggest sweetheart. He is just the nicest guy. Um, so we are going to do a collab with Matt. I don't know when. I got to get through these collabs. Just so you know, these collabs that we do are really hard on us. I don't know that. I don't know what it's like for Josh or Mike or Matt. I have no idea. Mike, maybe you can tell us. I don't know. But for me, they're really hard because, I'm working most of the time. So for us, it's hard just to get out one video. So then to put another video on top of that, is really hard on us. I'm not, this is not to, make anybody feel sorry for me or anything like that, but just to say that we got to get through the next collaboration with all of us before I can start thinking about the next collaboration after that. So I know Matt wants to do it sometime this summer. So we'll see. I don't know. I see something up there. Oh,
I just put it up.
True Heart says, I heard there were fireworks in the mall going off, so why no fire truck? Heard it was up close to 100 cops there. Something happened, but what? Okay, so we're back to the aliens in the Miami Mall. I hadn't heard that about the fireworks, but if that's what they said and there is no fire truck, that's a very good question. I'm kind of surprised there is no fire truck in general, because if you were to call out emergency services because there is a big enough riot of a fight going on, you would think they would have called out everything. But 100 cops with that number of cars, I absolutely believe there was 100 cops there. And I don't believe there was 100 cops there for a fight in the mall. I don't know what was there, but I'm calling BS on the official story. There you go. Lolo says, one of my favorite storytellers is Josh Turner with Paranormal Roundtable. He has thousands of stories from people who have contacted him about Bigfoot, Dogman, etc. I have heard Josh. I've heard Paranormal Roundtable a few times. I can't say that I've listened or watched a lot. Again, I mean, it's kind of, I know I said this before, but when I started, I was listening to Mr. Ballin and I was listening to What Lurks Beneath. And another one of my favorites is Dixie Cryptid. Cam. I love Cam. He's awesome. I want to meet Cam someday just because he just seems like the nicest good old boy ever. So I had my few that I listened to, and then we started the channel and we started getting people telling us about all these other great channels that are out there. And now I don't have time to go and find them all. It's frustrating in a way. It's good. I'm not complaining, but I don't have as much time to go find all these good people. But I have heard of Josh Turner, and I'll have to go and go through his collection and listen to some more. Absolutely. Thank you, Lolo. Can't wait, Mr. InBetween.
I can't wait for those episodes either.
Oh, thank you. Did you try Google Earth for coordinates? We did. So crazy. Coordinates of what?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. We're talking back on the Atlantis stuff.
Oh, we are? I didn't know we were talking about that at all.
Well, I didn't say we're talking about it. I said people are talking about it.
Okay.
Yes. And yes, Leona, we very much so know the coordinates.
Yep. We've been there. Google Earth is our friend. We love Google Earth. Mm-hmm.
I have been down so many rabbit holes. I've been using AI as much as possible to get entire video transcripts down to something that I can understand and put into some kind of sheets that can tell me all the evidence and conglomerate everything into one so that I can see what's BS and what's not, and go over 5 or 6 different researchers' information, find out where they connect and where they don't, and who's going off in weird areas. Yeah, we got a lot going on.
We
But
actually were just talking about it last night, and we likened all of these rabbit holes to more like a field of prairie dog houses. Because you go down one and you pop up. It's crazy.
If anyone is interested in just understanding what we're about to go into, you can check out a channel called Bright Insights. And that's all I'm gonna say. And just know that yeah, I kind of am. And just know that we are going to try to make this one of the most comprehensive videos out there on the subject.
Yeah.
Or 2 videos.
So yes, this one's going to be more of in the Y files vein than the storytelling vein. So
yeah, we have a storytelling vein and we have a deep dive Y files kind of vein. So,
and speaking of,
you guys know.
Lola wants to know if we've done the Dyatlov Pass. We did. I love that story. That is a crazy, crazy story. We have done it. So just look through our catalog. Do you remember exactly what we titled that one?
Mr. Not InBetween? Offhand.
I don't either. But it's in there. You'll see it.
I mean, I think you'll find probably it. Yeah, if you just do a search for the InBetween Dyatlov, it should pop up for you.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Oh, did I just take something off that you put up? I didn't mean to step on your toes.
I don't think so.
Okay. So Brian says Josh Gates and his Expedition X and past shows, along with his history stuff, is great. Interesting that you bring that up, because that building that I was just talking about, that Matt wants all 4 of us to collaborate on and go out there and do this ghost hunt. That was, he told us, Expedition X season 6, episodes 1 and 2. I might have that wrong. I'm totally going off of memory of what he told us in this meeting. So I have not watched it yet, and I've never watched Expedition X, but I have heard really good things about it, and I'm going to have to go back and watch it so I can get an idea of what this building is that we're supposed to be ghost hunting is. Yeah, the whole idea of it just scares the crap out of me, though, to tell you the truth. I don't know that I want to. I don't know. What is that?
What, the noise?
Yeah, who's falling down the stairs?
I think it's our kid jumping around.
Okay. That's kind of surprising, because he's usually good about just sitting on his computer. The InBetween kid, for those who don't know, is our 10-year-old son, who is very supportive of what we're doing. He's a total YouTube kid, wants to have his own gaming channel someday. So he's totally in. So when we're either recording videos or we're doing these live streams, he's usually really good about being quiet because he gets it. But I guess when you're 10, you can only be quiet for so long. Maybe that's it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry I kept that painting up there so long. I was just so busy talking, I didn't realize I had the painting on the screen for so long. Let's see. Where are you? True Heart. You should look up encounters at Fort Campbell. They're the 3rd largest base in the country. They are where the 101st Airborne is located, and my son is there for 4 years now. That sounds familiar. Fort Campbell. Is that in like the Virginia area? I want to say that we just did a Skinwalker story from Fort Campbell, but I could be wrong about that. Where's Fort Campbell?
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me look. Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Maybe it's not the same place that we just did. No, that's
Yeah,
not the one.
Marta loves. I agree. Bob Gimlin stuff is great.
Oh, I love Bob Gimlin.
I'm just filling
I
in the
love.
time while you're doing searches.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why I've heard of Fort Campbell. I've heard of it before. I don't know why, because that's not the story that I'm thinking of. That's not the area of the story that I'm thinking of. So I don't know. But Fort Campbell's got a lot of weirdness going on, huh? Huh. Okay. I'll have to look into that one. Thank you for the heads up. We always like tips. That's very good. Lolo says if you transpose the coordinates for the mall, it's in Antarctica. Ooh, that's an interesting. So maybe somebody got some coordinates wrong, some beam me up Scotty coordinates if they got them wrong and landed in the mall instead. That's really interesting, especially with all of the there just seems to be a lot of hubbub lately about Antarctica. So that's very interesting. All right, maybe I'll dig deeper into that one.
You guys in the chat are so awesome because you're like welcoming new people into the chat, and he's just such the
Awesome.
best community ever.
Awesome. Leona, yes, Google Earth rabbit holes are so deep. Oh my gosh, I could spend a whole day just looking at things on Google Earth. It's so interesting. There's so many things that are just weird. I don't know. Love it. Thank you. Lots of secrets in the Antarctic. Yes, true heart. There are. We might do an episode on the Antarctic in the future because there is a lot of stuff there.
There is.
Linda Moulton Howe, author of Alien Harvest. I've heard her name a lot lately.
Yeah, she was on
remember what it was.
She was in Coast to Coast and Art Bell all the time. Yeah,
Was she?
She's an OG of the crazy UFO, especially on the UFOs, like going down the rabbit holes.
Is that her focus though? Is aliens, or is her focus?
When I say the crazy, I don't mean the crazy. I mean the strange and like
Strange
crazy.
and mysterious.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Those of us who are crazy, but not really crazy. But is she? Because I want to say I heard her name in relation to Dogmen. Does that make sense?
I don't know about
Would
that.
she have been in there? I've heard her name a lot lately.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to look into that. I don't know why we don't do that much on aliens. That's just not one that we've gotten into a whole lot. I'm not sure why.
Well, I think we've actually done some stuff on like Men in Black and alien sightings and stuff. And I guess it do you guys want that stuff? Because usually when we put it up, it doesn't get the biggest traction. So, we just
Dogman usually wins.
Well, let's see what the people want, And,
yeah.
I don't know.
Usually it's Dogman.
Yeah, it ends up being Dogman. I don't know why, but it is one of those things that like when people are into Dogman, they're really into Dogman. So
yes, that is true.
Oh, here we go.
But for whoever asked that question at the very beginning of the live stream, why do we have so many Dogman stories? Probably because every time we ask about them, they usually come in quite high. So they are a fan favorite, for better or worse.
Oh, was that okay? So Kenneth says Linda Howe was the first reporter to cover the cattle mutilations.
Got it.
No, was she?
Okay. All right. Could be. Paul Stone. So Kristen says, check out Paul Stone. He's a Russian history guy, but also storyteller. I believe it's Paul Stonehill and Paranormal, or is it supposed to be paranormal?
Paranormal research.
He has stories from all over the world. All right. Paul Stonehill. I will check him out. That's amazing. There's so much out there that there will never be. Occasionally I get the, oh my God, what are we going to do? But then I just stop and breathe for a second and realize there's so much information out there that we will never be done. Never, ever, ever.
And people are saying Fort Campbell, I think, is what they're saying is in Kentucky,
Oh.
on the border of Kentucky and Tennessee.
Yes, I see that.
From True Heart.
Yeah. And she said Wartime Stories is covered. I love Wartime Stories. That's a good channel. They're really good. Yep. Wartime Stories is very high. Yes, Mindy. Great minds think alike, right, Mindy?
Yep.
And
Mindy knows what we're covering in a few weeks.
Yes, she does. Don't harass her. She's not going to tell you.
And Mindy, we've found like even more information that than we were talking and you and I were discussing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mindy helped us out in trying to do some research for this because it's big. So,
for Wartime Stories?
Is that Wartime Stories or is that Tales from the Smoke Pit?
Oh, yeah.
Or are they talking about the Bigfoot guy? We just
Mardeluz.
I know, but is he talking about
I don't know. What are you talking about?
The guy with the same name as the Bigfoot guy. Bob Gimlin. Or is he talking about Bob Gimlin?
Could be.
Because Bob Gimlin has his stories. Bob Gimlin doesn't do his own illustrations. He has somebody do them. Because whoever he had doing his illustrations for years just passed away from pancreatic cancer or something like that. So for a while, he was looking for a new illustrator. And I think he's found one. I think he tried a couple of different people, but I think he's found a new illustrator now. So he doesn't do his own, but whoever does them is very good.
Oh, there you go.
Ted Gunderson. You don't get poison unless you're onto something, right? I guess I'm going to have to look up Ted Gunderson. Red Kitten. I don't know who Ted Gunderson is. Oh my gosh. See, I can't, there's too many good tips out there. Man. The Beast of Bray Road.
Oh, I think maybe it was another Linda.
I think
or maybe, I don't know.
I think that was a different Linda. I don't know. That's a good question. Kristen says, check out Paul Stonehill at Paranormal Research. He's a Russian historian. He speaks good English. That's good. He still has all types of stories from all over. He is documentary, but his stories flower. I'm assuming that means his flowers. His stories are
they're
wonderful.
his stories, I think, right?
Oh, maybe. Okay. Maybe. I will check him out. I certainly will. Absolutely. Brian says Antarctica is so interesting from history that the Germans were trying to build bases there to alien bases under the water there, hidden under the thick ice. Yeah, that's when a couple weeks ago we were talking about Antarctica. And I think if we did a video, that's probably the lens that we would take it from is like maybe start out with the Nazis and how they were so crazy about the occult and gathering all of these artifacts that led them to the Antarctic, and then kind of get into it that way. I don't know yet because I haven't done enough research on it, but yeah, the Germans certainly did have an interesting part to play.
I think there was something about going to Antarctica to find the opening to the inner Earth. And
well, there's that, but I thought they also built bases there.
Yeah, like under the ice or something.
Yeah,
I think. I know that they were hanging out in Argentina because they found a bunch of their old hideouts and such there just a few years back, and it was a big news story.
Okay. Oh. Interesting. Fort Campbell is near land between the lakes. You know what? I didn't even look at that. I didn't get that far on the map. Now that makes more sense if it's close to the land between the lakes. Wow. I so want to do a video on the land between the lakes. Now, the scary thing is that the most popular story that comes out of that area is so fantastical that I have a really hard time believing that it's a true story. And of course, I have no way to authenticate it, to corroborate it. I I that's just not what I do. I'm not that kind of a detective about it. But the story is just so good that I think I might have to do it anyway, just because it's so wonderful. True Heart says Coast to Coast played my son's original song a few weeks ago. Linda
Hey, nice.
usually only did UFOs and alien stories. She is not on Coast to Coast any longer. Didn't she just recently die? Isn't that why she's not on Coast to Coast any longer?
I think she's still around.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I'm thinking of the other Linda who was the Dogman Linda. She passed away not all that long ago. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I don't know. Does anybody have any 411 on that? Let us know. Oh my goodness, we're getting our comments are
Mike
building up
says,
again.
same. Everyone tells me they want UFO aliens. I do it and they get the lowest hits. I still do them though.
There you go.
You know,
That's
Mike,
what
I
I'm
can't
talking
blame you.
about.
You want to do what your people want. And at some point, you just do them because your people want it and you love your people. So you want to do what your people want you to do, regardless as to what the video does. You know, you've made your people
Hmm.
happy. There's something to be said about that. That's for sure. Are we falling behind again? Yes. Oh my
I think
gosh.
so. All right, you go ahead and pick a couple here. I will be right back.
Okay. Um, oh, Mindy says that the smoke pit stories are a playlist on wartime stories. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. I never would have figured that out. Well, okay, maybe I would have, um, but that sounds really cool. I'll have to dig into those a little bit more. He's just a really good storyteller. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I listen to somebody and I don't know what it is about their delivery that that just works for me, but it's just something. There's just something about somebody's delivery. And obviously that's why people come to this channel and people go to different channels because it's their delivery. But Lolo says, have you checked out Martin Grove's Land Between the Lakes? Yeah, his story is pretty crazy as well. Um, I have heard the story and I probably will do an episode on his story someday. Um, now that it's kind of interesting because now that we're getting a little bit bigger, um, I don't want to say we have cred because we're not that big yet, but now that we know Josh introduced us to Matt Emsch, who obviously has a big popular story in the genre. So now I have and now I have some of you may know Barton Nunnally. So I have his number. I've emailed with him. So now I'm like getting out there a little bit and I'm actually getting the opportunity to contact some of these people that to me it was always just like, oh my gosh. So I'm kind of hoping, but that also brings the pressure of like with Matt's story. Once I finally decided I wanted to do Matt's story, even though he had emailed me that story months prior, I didn't I didn't feel, and especially now that he had started his own channel, I didn't feel like I could do that story until I had his permission again. So I went and got his permission again. And Martin Groves is now one of those people who I know enough people that I could get in contact, I'm sure, with Martin Groves. Um, because if I remember correctly, Matt knows Martin Groves, and I think Josh might too. I'm not sure, but I could get in contact with Martin Groves, and so I would feel obligated just on the true story creepypasta kind of divide. I would almost feel obligated to get Martin's okay to do his story before I do his story. But I would like to do that story someday because that is a really good story. So that is not the story I was talking about as being like the biggest, most fantastic one from Land Between the Lakes, but it is a good one. Um, That's right, Kenneth. Thank you so much. It was Linda Godfrey that did the Beast of Bray Road, and she's the one who passed away just recently because she's probably one of the first, um, probably one of the first people that I didn't know that I actually just out of the blue reached out to talk to and get permission to use some of the stories that she had in her book, and that's when I found out that she had just passed away. So that was within the last couple of years. Let's see. Deb says, my uncles all worked at the shipyards in Bremerton and had a lot of spooky encounters. Deb, are you talking like ghost encounters? Because I know that you know how to email me encounters. So if you have some, fess up and send them to me. Let's see.
I'm back. I got
Okay. I was like, oh, things are happening without me doing them. The Beast of Bray Road from here in Wisconsin. So good stories that are here about it along with Bigfoot stories. So good stories that are here about it. I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of good stories about Dogman. I hate to tell you. But I'm interested, Brian, just you don't have to call yourself out, but like what area of Wisconsin are you from? Because we did an entire episode on a town in Wisconsin, which of course now I'm blanking. How
yeah,
it was
out west Wisconsin.
Danbury. That's what it was. Danbury, Wisconsin.
There was a bunch of classic stories.
Yeah, we had like 3 or 4 stories all centered around Danbury, Wisconsin, which part of the reason that I did them is because it freaked me out that Danbury is only an hour away from where I live. We're outside of Minneapolis, so it's not that far away. And it was just like, so Dogman's hanging out just an hour away. That does not make me feel comfortable. So I'm just kind of curious, Brian, as to what part of Wisconsin that you're from. Let's see. Late Ted Gunderson was the head of the FBI field division of the LA area. In his later years, he started talking about human trafficking, aliens, etc. He was warned by the late William Colby, CIA. All right. That sounds like a big old conspiracy web. It sounds like one of those episodes that has a lot of information that would need to be distilled down. But that's interesting. Okay. Frank, you guys have a great show. There are a lot of weird things going on in Arizona. People just disappearing. Arizona's weird. There's a lot of weird things. Excuse me. I don't know if you say there are people disappearing. Are you talking about like people going out onto the res and not coming back? Are you talking about people disappearing from the middle of Phoenix? That's kind of a broad thing. I mean, I know that we've done stories on skinwalkers and the reservations out there. We did at least one story on the Mogollon monster out there. So I know that Arizona's got a lot of weird stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's anything in particular that you're talking about, let us know and we can do our best to look into it.
And just so everybody knows, we have a hard stop in 15 minutes.
Yeah, we do. We got to meet up with the family.
We got to meet up with some peeps.
Yep. So.
Yep.
Mike says, I'm using the Nazis to set up a paranormal story. Crazy stuff they were into. They were into some really crazy stuff. Admiral Byrd, Project Paperclip. I don't know what to think of the whole Admiral Byrd thing.
There's a lot of Admiral Byrd stuff.
There is. And, I will fully admit that I am just as easily swayed by the disinformation as every other citizen out there that, the diary wasn't real, blah, blah, blah. So now I don't know what to think. Admiral Byrd flew into the hole at the top of the earth.
We are going to do
the diary, right?
We are going to do some episode at some point on the Hollow Earth. I just think it's an interesting topic.
Hollow Earth,
kind of like during the Hollow Moon. because
Yeah,
that's
the hollow moon
interesting.
would be cool. That would be
Yeah,
another
but
cool one.
that's one of the things. If you go to the hollow moon, then you got to think, maybe a lot of these are hollow.
I know. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, that one's on the list of things to do for sure. The only problem, I mean, I have a list of things with several things on the list of story topic ideas to do for the future. The only problem is that as we're working through it, like big things keep jumping in the line. So a lot of those things keep getting pushed back and pushed back. And Hollow Earth is one of those that has been on the list of things to do for a long time, but it keeps getting pushed back and pushed back by other bigger and greater projects. So Linda Milton Howe has the channel Earth Files. Oh, all right. Thanks, Emma. I'll have to go check that out for sure. Red Kitten says William Colby was suicided, of course, himself on a late night kayaking incident. Well, that's pretty sus right there. Ted Gunderson was friends with John DeCamp of Nebraska, who wrote a book called The Franklin Cover Up. The Franklin Cover Up, isn't that about trafficking, or is that the one about the Satan rings, the satanic cult rings? Maybe that's the satanic cult rings. I think I've heard of that book before. Kristen says, I am 62 and I have seen some very strange things in my life. Well, Kristen, if you would like to share, I love reading stories and we do viewer submission episodes occasionally. So if you feel like writing them out, please email them to me at inbetweentales@gmail.com. Love to hear them. Mindy, Story Spirals, says, I like the weirdest thing happened to me kind of stories, time slips, that kind of thing. Yeah, there are a lot of really interesting time slip stories out there and just weird things. Some of those can kind of devolve into the weirdest thing because there are creepy human beings out there as well, which they make good stories too. Um, we certainly should do an episode very soon on just the weird things that happen to people that don't necessarily have to be. I mean, we've done episodes before where they're not necessarily paranormal. We've done episodes of just creepy people, so we certainly could do that. We'll look into gathering up some stories for that. Lolo says the Martin Grove story is just about as crazy. Yes. He was hunting the LBL with a friend and they were attacked by Bigfoot and dog. I thought they were just attacked by dogmen. They survived, but a fellow hunter in the LBL did not. I thought that was a total dogman story. Maybe I'm thinking of a different story, but I thought that was totally dogman. But like I said, I know a few people now who know Martin Groves personally and talk about, well, first, what a great guy he is, and second, what a crazy story it is. So I certainly will have to dig a little bit deeper into that one. I hope I didn't get that wrong. I don't know. Mindy says Wartime Stories is authentic. He has his own stories and that inspired him. And obviously he's a natural writer and storyteller. Yes, he is. He doesn't embellish, tells it straight. And the illustrations. Yeah, he has good illustrations too. I don't know who all these illustrators are out there, but there are some really good illustrators out there. If anybody watches The Missing Enigma, that's another guy who has some great illustration on his channel. But yes, Mindy, I do like Wartime Stories. He is a great storyteller. So it'd be interesting. I should reach out to him and find out what his stories are. Although I'm sure if I watched his videos, he probably would say that because that's probably how you know that too. So maybe I just need to watch more of his videos and find out. That's interesting. Yes, it started with the Germans trying to work on what they called the Bell UFO, Brian says. But yes, Mr. InBetween, they also went to Antarctica because they believed in finding inner Earth, I believe. Ooh, the Bell UFO. Now, I haven't dug into the Germans and their tie to Antarctica yet. I can never say that. But I don't know that I've heard of the Bell UFO. I'll have to look into that one too. Lolo says Barton Nunnally is an amazing man. He is very kind, and his wife Letitia. I don't know. I don't know him personally. I have only reached out to him via email, but I will say that the email that I received was very warm, and he seems like a very nice man. I will say that. And his videos, you could just tell on his videos that he's just a very authentic person, you know, one of those people that if I ever get the chance to meet, I certainly will take that, take whoever it is, I will take them up on that to be able to meet him. True Heart says Matt's story was the scariest story ever, especially them all being kids, just doing what kids do. I sent him a therapy that helps PTSD. That's awesome because he does still suffer from PTSD. He's gone through therapy. I mean, obviously this was a long time ago. It was 40 years ago. But he does still suffer from PTSD. And that was one of the scariest stories. And I don't know. I can't even, I mean, and now that I've met him, I believe him as hard as it is for me sometimes to believe in dogmen because they just seem so in all of this, it just seems so fantastical sometimes. It's just, and that's the conditioning, obviously, that we are all born into that, oh, none of that stuff is real. I'm totally guilty of that as well. Um, but now that I've met him, I believe him 100%. He is such a nice man. And I believe him 100%. And it's just so hard to believe that I just don't know how he got through that. I mean, he obviously did. He's still here with us today, but that is one hell of a trauma to have to live through. And then to have your dad, who you love and trust, tell you that you can't tell anyone. You know, the dad version of rub some dirt in it, you'll be fine. That's just crazy. So it's crazy that he still is with us 40 years later. So good on you, Matt, you know? So anyway, there you go. Mitty says, just watched a guy with a box truck camper whose channel is about his box truck camping activities, hiking, etc., and his couple of experiences with Bigfoot. Love those kind of stories. Yeah, the small ones are almost even, I don't want to say that they're even better, but they're almost easier to believe because they're so small. Who would go through the trouble of saying, yeah, I just watched it walk across the road? Because the amount of guff that you get back from just saying that surely cannot be worth saying that, you know. But there are a lot of van life channels out there who have experiences. There's a lot of them out there because they don't plan on it, but when they have it, they put it on their channel because that's their channel, you know, camping and whatnot. So I do think that that's kind of an interesting place to go find some stories. Meaning Bigfoot is not his focus. It's a one-off because his viewers kept asking him. Okay. Yeah, it happened. So he's going to tell it. Absolutely. Kenneth says, my daughter moved to Wisconsin a few years ago and I told her to watch out for dogmen and werewolves. She wasn't happy about that. Kenneth, I can't say I blame her, but Wisconsin seems to, I mean, well, this whole area up here is full of Bigfoot, but, and I've heard just recently that we've got our number, our share of dogmen in northern Minnesota as well. Somebody just sent me something about seeing a dogman in northern Minnesota where my mom was born. And I'm like, what? I didn't know anything was going on way up there, but apparently there is. But Wisconsin has way more in the way of dogmen than Minnesota does. You guys got some stuff going on over there. That's all I can say. Kristen says Native Americans all over are disappearing and found dead or never found. It's sad. I'm not even sure what to do with that, Kristen. Are they are you implying, and it sounds like a really bad word, are you implying blah blah blah, but are you saying that there's something paranormal going on? Are they being found in Um, I don't know what to do with that. So they're disappearing. Are they like 411s when somebody saw them like they were 20 feet away 5 seconds ago and now they're just totally gone and they're never found? Is that kind of what you're saying? So I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of weird things happen on the reservations and stuff like that. But I don't know where else to go with that. I'm sorry. Oh, where are you? I lost you. I'm looking. There it is. Brian says, I'm from southeast Wisconsin, not far from Elkhorn and the Beast of Bray Road. Okay. I'm maybe 30 to 45 minutes from there. Good. So you're over on the east side, further away from me. Danbury, having him in Danbury on the western side of Wisconsin is bad enough. I'm glad that the Bray Road is over on the east side. Sorry, Brian. But I got all I can handle as it is. Mr. E-Files Mike says, this was a wonderful live. You guys crushed it. Talk soon. Much love. Yes, we will talk with you on Monday, my friend. We got to get this collab going, get it in the works, get it on the calendar, figure out exactly what we're doing. Get this bad boy going.
And we've got about a minute left here.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And so many comments we couldn't get back to either.
Oh, thank you guys so much. This has been just awesome. It's just weird. I could just sit and ramble like this forever. Maybe someday
it wasn't a hard stop.
I know. If we didn't have a hard stop, maybe I would. Maybe we'll have to in the future start planning on the 3-hour AJ crazy streams.
I don't know. Does anybody want 3-hour AJ crazy streams?
They had like for the holidays, they had like 6-hour or 8-hour, I think it was 6-hour holiday streams, like Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
They just like set it up in the corner of the kitchen. What?
Yeah, they're just like making dinner while you're just hanging out and watching.
Yeah, they like just set it up in the corner of the kitchen. And AJ would, sit there for most of it and be doing what we're doing, looking at comments and stuff like that. And you just watched everybody in the background making dinner and drinking and being family and friends and having fun. That I thought was actually quite genius, because not everybody's got someplace fun to go on Thanksgiving, give a place for people to go that don't have a place to go. I thought that was wonderful.
And I just want to say again, thanks everyone for a million views so far, and we're just getting started.
Yes.
So
and Deb says this live must have given her a time slip because it just went by too fast. I agree. I cannot believe it's been 2 hours. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for all of your support. Thank you in advance for your future support. And just know that we are here working as hard as we can to get the best stuff out to you that we can get out to you. All right.
Yep. And Caroline, do you want to say your final line that you always say?
Be careful out there. And we will see you here again on the In Between.